Welcome to the Silver Level Enneagram Map presentation. In this Silver Level Enneagram Map, we study the 5 most common additional patterns and attributes to the Enneagram. These are the triads, arrows, wings, tri-types, and instincts. In this level, we discover how the styles or Enneagram types interact with one another, how the styles influence each other in subtle and powerful ways, and how each one of us is intimately connected to each other in profound and potent ways. So for starters, I'm just going to click out of this Sacred Enneagram Silver Level Map. And this is my desktop screen. So I double click on the Silver Level Enneagram program here. Double click and it's just loading up. And here it is. So the first thing I want to show you on this Silver Level Enneagram map is the wings. So the way you navigate on these Sacred Enneagram maps is that you can just point your mouse and click on the area that you want to focus in on. So I can zoom out to home screen over here on the right hand side. You've got a home screen button which puts everything into the frame. And you've also got on the right hand side here, zoom in, which is the plus sign to zoom in like that. And the minus sign is to zoom out like that. So for starters, I'm starting off with the wing section. Now, the points on both sides of the Enneagram style or Enneagram type are called wings. So if we have a look over here at Enneagram type 8, on both sides here and over here are called the wings, and they affect the ways you exhibit the characteristics of your Enneagram type or style. So many individuals connect a lot more to one wing than the other. So for Enneagram type 8 person, they might connect more to Enneagram style 8 with a 9 wing, which is called the bear. So the 9 wing is on the right hand side here, whereas the 7 wing is on the left hand side here. Other people experience that they relate to qualities with both wings. So you can have things in common with both wings as well, or you might lean to a particular side, which is the 9 wing or the 7 wing for Enneagram type 8. So you will hear Enneagram enthusiasts say, I'm a type 2 with a predominant 3 wing. And considering your wings produce a distinctive subtype which is identifiable in our everyday life. So whenever we don't connect to one of our wings, it might suggest that we reside within a shadow. So the wing that we don't really attune to, or we don't feel that we have anything in common with, might be in the shadow of our consciousness. So it's not currently in our foremost conscious awareness. So each one of the wings on both sides of your respective predominant Enneagram type possesses a distinctive flavor or quality characteristic. So just zooming out here, as you can see, we've got all the types. So it helps to think of an individual style or individual Enneagram type and wing variations through viewing a color wheel. And that's why I've overlaid this Enneagram symbol over this color wheel. This color wheel displays the entire variety of available colors. Using this method of viewing Enneagram styles reveals to us that there's a spectrum of human expression. In the same way there's a spectrum in colors in a rainbow. There aren't any real clear distinct divisions between the varieties of personality styles. In the same way you can't find divisions between the colors in a rainbow. Specific distinctions are as unique as various tones, shades, and intensities of color. So the actual 9 points on the Enneagram are just group names that we make use of to communicate meaningfully about the differences. Similar to how we identify color groups, for instance, blue. Blue includes colors such as teal, navy, sky blue, indigo, aqua, etc. So suggesting that someone is actually Enneagram type 6, for example, is equivalent to saying that these people belong to the blue group within the color spectrum. As you can see down here, we have Enneagram type 6, and they're in the blue spectrum, which makes up a variety of different blue colors. So some of the characteristics related to the wings on Enneagram type 6 would be a more intense color, and other colors would be more soft and neutral. But generally, they are all located in the blue section. So for example, I'm just zooming up to Enneagram type 8 again. And I'm going to the left-hand side, which is Enneagram style 8 with a 7 wing. And that group is called the independent. And as I zoom in here, there's more information that describes the wings of Enneagram type 8 with a 7 wing. We've got the positive and sublime state, so that's when we're relaxed and in a positive state of mind. Or we've got the negative and harmful states, which is more stressful and angry or intense. So according to our moods on a particular day, we can see that we might relate to the positive side or the negative side. So I'm just zooming out and moving over to 8 with the 9 wing, which is here on the right hand side. So here we have Enneagram type 8 with a 9 wing, which is called the bear, and the positive attributes to the bear. And so the negative and harmful states of Enneagram type 8 with a 9 wing. So that's just a little example of what's involved in the wing section on the silver level Enneagram map. Heaps of information to look at there. Okay, now I'm just going to zoom into home screen again, over here, and I'm going to go up to Triads. This is the Triad section. Okay, here we have the centers of intelligence. These ones here are called the Hornbeam points. These red triads are called the harmonics. So over here we have the centers of intelligence. The Enneagram acknowledges 3 centers of intelligence. We have the head, the heart, and the gut. In other words, we have 3 brains. It's also been found in science by Robert Cooper that we actually do have 3 brains. We have the instinctual root brain, the emotional limbic system brain, and the cerebral cortex thinking brain. In the head center, our mental faculties allow us to know through logic, reason, and imagination and analysis. With the heart center, our heart center knows through mood, tone, feeling, while our gut and body center knows through kinesthetic, working with instinct and physical sensation. So we have all 3 ways of knowing, but each Enneagram type or Enneagram style leads with one of these 3 centers. Ideally, we want to access all 3 centers. It's important not to segment to centers, but have each in dynamic relationship with the other 2. If we operate only from one center, that means we are asleep to many other facets of life. So when we are open to all 3 ways of knowing, the heart, gut, and head way, there is fluidity among these centers, and we have increased wisdom and intuition. Our lives are more balanced when we use these 3 brains in harmony. So with this example, I'm just going to focus in on one of the centers of intelligence, which is the gut center. and this is the zone of Enneagram types 8, 9, and 1. Predominantly, Enneagram types 8, 9, and 1 reside with the gut instinct or the instinctual gut center. So the gut triad is very instinctual, with an emphasis on vitality and life force. So here we have a summary of how each one of these Enneagram types, 8, 9, and 1, rely on the instinctual gut center. So I won't read all through that, but it's all here on the silver level Enneagram map. So you can get this silver level Enneagram map on the links below this video. So now I'm just zooming out, and here you can see we have the head center over here on the left hand side, the heart center on the right hand side, and up the top is the instinctual gut center. So now I'm just going to zoom out, and I'm going to go down to the harmonics. So these triads here, these triangles, are the harmonic triangles, also called the 3 harmonic groups. The harmonic groups are useful for transformational work because they indicate how each person copes when they do not get what they want, as indicated by the center that they are in. The harmonic groups are important because they reveal the fundamental way that our personality defends against loss and disappointment. Even though there are no lines that connect them in the Enneagram symbol, there are common themes and issues that unite these types. The harmonic groups tell us what attitude the types adopt if it fails to meet its dominant need. In other words, the harmonic groups tell us how we cope with conflict and difficulty and how we respond when we do not get what we want. Okay, so now I'm just going to give you a quick example of what information the 3 harmonic groups contain. So over here we have the reactive styles, and these are Enneagram type 8s, the boss, the Enneagram type 6, the loyal skeptic, and Enneagram type 4, the individualist. And you can see it here just on the right hand side, the triangle here showing you 8, 6, and 4 points that are the reactive styles. So to clarify what the reactive styles are, it suggests that all 3 are provoked by issues of trust and betrayal and are described as intense. If you need to point out a problem to one of these types, don't be surprised if you get an emotional reaction. They are likely to have a strong emotional reaction to adversity and conflict. Some might see them as intense, but for types 4, 6, and 8, it helps to express their emotion in order to deal with the issue. And what they are looking for from others is a response. The reactive types desire trust. However, they find it difficult to let go of control because they fear betrayal. So that's a summary of why the reactive styles react the way they do. And it goes into more information down here for each specific type that's on this harmonic group. And here we have style 8, the boss. And they usually say, I'm angry, and you're going to hear about it. And so style 8s are often impulsive and repel authority and behave argumentative and bossy, informing instead of questioning. These are typically their response to the problems that show up, as well as to individuals whom they view as problematic. They are certainly not recognized for suppressing their emotionally charged reactions. So it goes into a lot more information there about style 8 in regards to their reaction harmonic group. But I'm just going to move on to the next point, which is style 6, the loyal skeptic. And the reactive style of Enneagram type 6 is I'm feeling pressured. Style 6 tend to be watchful, certain that people will take advantage of them. They are inclined to be suspicious of others' ulterior motives. Whenever 6s let their defenses down, the fear of betrayal is constantly lurking nearby. So it goes into a lot of information here of why Enneagram Type 6 reacts the way they do. Now, moving on to the last point on these reactive styles in this harmonic group, which is style 4, the individualist. And their reactive style sounds like this: I'm upset and I need to feel free to express myself. So style 4s induce conflict through being temperamental, moody, and self-absorbed. These people react passionately to difficulties or imagined problems. Style 4s identify powerfully with their own emotional responses and imagine that whatever they feel about circumstances and people is the actual truth of the matter. These people have a hard time remaining objective. So it goes into more information about why style 4 reacts the way they do. So that just sums up a little bit of information for the 3 harmonic groups. But as I zoom out, you can see here that there's a lot more information. I'll just click through and then zoom out to show you the information that's located for the harmonics. So we have the optimistic styles, which is Enneagram types 2, 7, and 9. And then we have the competency styles, which are Enneagram types 1, 3, and 5. So it goes through a lot of information there for the harmonic groups. Okay, the last section in the Triads group is the Hornbeams. These are the Hornbeam triangles. So we have the 3 Hornbeam groups. You have seen that each style resides in one of the centers of intelligence that we went through before. And these centers are the head thinking center, the heart feeling center, and the gut instinctual center. These centers become unbalanced in a particular way, discovered by Karen Horney, who was the first one to notice the imbalance of the centers. So Karen Horney, a psychiatrist who develops Freud's work by identifying 3 fundamental ways in which people attempt to solve internal conflict, and she named it the Hornbeam Groups. So we could also say that the Hornbeam Groups indicate the social style of each type. So each of the Hornbeam Groups has an intrinsic sense of self in relation to other people. Recognizing and understanding the untruth of this sense of self can be extremely valuable for seeing through some of the major features of our ego fixations, of our particular Ennea types fixation that we get caught up in. Identifying our Hornbeam group can help us untangle these fixations. So each Enneagram style is balanced to favor one of the centers over the other 2. And a second center will support the primary center, and the third center tends to be underused. So there are 3 Hornbeam groups. They are the withdrawn, the assertive, and the dutiful group. The assertive types insist or demand that they get what they want. The withdrawn types withdraw or move away from engagement to get what they want. And the dutiful types earn or do what is expected of them or required of them to get what they want. So I'm just going to give you a little brief run through into one of these Hornbeam groups, which will be the assertive group. So over here we have the assertives, and you can see on this triangle it's Enneagram types 8, 7, and 3. So if we just come over to here, we have the information for this Hornbeam cluster, the assertive styles. The assertive styles are 3 the achiever, 7 the enthusiast, and 8 the boss. So the method the assertive styles employ in order to get what they require is usually to pose and demand. These people utilize powerful action, maximize themselves, endorse themselves, and take risky chances. This provides them the look of being bold, assured, and in some cases egotistical. Individuals may experience them as being very aggressive, determined, and outgoing. And it goes into information as why do they show up like this? So all Enneagram types 3, 7, and 8 try to prevent the emotional baggage and sentiment of others from getting to them. So they want to keep an emotional distance, and they will also distance themselves away from their own heart's vulnerability. Actually, these styles are generally out of connection with their own emotions and generally don't like revealing how they are feeling, as it makes them feel vulnerable. So it goes into a lot more information as to why they show up like this. And moving on, down in this light globe here, we have a little quiz to determine, are you an assertive style? So you can work through this with your friends to see if they are an assertive style. So when several of these declarations within the below checklist relate to you, more often than not, one of the assertive styles will possibly be yours. So you just tick through those, tick the ones that you can relate to in your life to determine, are you an assertive style? And that gives a person more clarification as to what type they actually are, what Enneagram type they actually are. So if a person doesn't really know or isn't really sure about what Enneagram type or style they are, these quizzes will help determine if they are an assertive style or not. So now I'm just zooming out again. Right here, I'll click on the minus symbol on the right hand side to zoom out. Oh, and before I forget, I just wanted to quickly show you that if you relate to the assertive style of 3, 7, or 8, this key here, which is called the keys of the kingdom, can help liberate you from that assertive fixation by giving you tips on how to connect with the heart center. The initial step would be to slow down and to notice the world surrounding you instead of pushing into the world, and enable the world to penetrate you. Soak up the impressions that are present and give your heart center a moment to feel what is present right now. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out again. And it just goes into more information here about how do the assertive Hornbeam styles sync with the 3 centers of intelligence. So the assertive Hornbeam styles either deny their feelings or are not connected with their feelings. They mainly utilize the action gut instinctual center with the thinking head center of the 3 centers of intelligence. So it just goes into what it looks like for the assertive styles when they are only connected to the head and gut centers. Okay, zooming out again. Okay, so that sums up the Triad section of this silver Enneagram map. We've been through the centers of intelligence, the harmonic groups, and the Hornbeam groups. Okay, so next we're going over to the instinctual centers. So the 27 instinctual drives. Okay, the 27 animal instinctual drives. So each of the 9 Enneagram styles links to 3 primary instinctual drives, resulting in 27 subtypes altogether. Every animal is run by 3 primary instinctual drives for the survival of the species. And these are the self-preservation instinctual style, which is survival of the individual unit. Or we have the social instinctual style, which is hierarchy and role of the individual unit in the herd. And we also have the sexual instinctual style, which is all related to the reproduction of the individual unit. In Hindu yogic systems, these instinctual drives directly respond to the first 3 chakras or energy centers of the subtle body. So over here I have a circle outlining the first 3 chakras. The metaphor used in Kundalini Yoga to describe the first chakras is the dragon holding both treasure and damsels in a dungeon while terrorizing the countryside. A selfish, aggressive, fear-based life is a life lived from the 3 animal drives or instincts. For more information on the Sacred Enneagram and chakras, you'll need to go to the Sacred Enneagram Gold level, which is the advanced level of these 3 Sacred Enneagram maps. First we had the Bronze level Enneagram map. This is the Silver level Enneagram map, and there's also a Gold level Enneagram map, which is the advanced section, which will go into a lot more detail on the chakra system. So the recognition of the 3 drives and the unique characteristics which show up at each of the style points or the Enneagram type points on the Enneagram is useful for 2 different reasons. First, knowing the underlying drive vastly helps in accurately identifying the fixation. We have all seen so many people who have been mistyped, but when the 3 drives can be correlated to the fixation, then mistyping becomes more obvious. And the second reason for why the instinctual types are useful is in knowing the drive, you know your own worst enemy. You know where you are most likely to sell out. Though each instinctual drive must be faced and burned, there will be one drive that will be the hardest to get past and is the first to reappear to tempt you back into the fixation. The particular passion that runs the fixation feeds primarily off one of the instincts, and this instinct becomes dominant over others. So, for instance, a sexual fixation will use sex to deal with their financial and social problems. A self-preservation fixation will bring strategies for survival into social and sexual arena, and will choose partners that feed the self-preservation instinct. And we also have the social fixation. So the social instinctual fixation, which makes many alliances with people that further their social status and use the social connections to deal with survival issues. So down here we have the 3 instinctual goals, and this information clarifies the goals of each instinct. So the goal of self-preservation right here. The self-preservation instinct focuses attention on and shapes behavior around issues related to survival and material security. I won't read through that all because I quickly want to go to the next one, which will be the sexual instinct one, which is sexual bonding. The sexual instinct focuses on attention and shapes behavior around issues related to quality and status of relationships with specific individuals, sometimes referred to as the one-on-one instinct. It generally directs energy towards the achievement and maintenance of sexual connections or interpersonal attraction and bonding. The last summary is social instinct interaction. So the social instinct focuses attention on and shapes behavior around issues related to belonging, recognition, and relationships in social groups. It drives us to get along with the herd, our family, the community, and the groups we belong to. So that's a quick summary of the 3 instinctual goals. So this Enneagram picture here illustrates how each of the Enneagram points has 3 instinctual subtypes. So zooming into Enneagram 8 here. So Enneagram 8 and their 3 instinctual subtypes. So the self-preservation one is called satisfactory survival. If Enneagram type 8 relates to the social instinct of their type, it would be the friendship subtype. If Enneagram type 8 relates to the sexual subtype, it would be called possession and surrender. And each of the 9 Enneagram types has their own instinctual subtype headings. So for 9, the self-preservation is appetite, or the social instinct is participation, and 9's sexual instinct would be called union. For Enneagram type 1 here, we have the self-preservation of worry, or we have the social instinct of inadaptability, or we have the sexual instinct of jealousy. For Enneagram Type 2, we have the self-preservation of me first, or the social instinct of ambition, or the sexual instinct of aggression and seduction. And so it continues all the way around for all the 9 types. They all have different titles for the instinctual subtypes. Now moving on, this is the main instinctual subtype illustration here. And in each one of these circles, we have the information relating to self-preservation, social, and sexual. So for an example, zooming into Enneagram Type 8 again. Enneagram Type 8 and their self-preservation instinct is called satisfactory survival. And in this circle here, we have what it looks like for the Enneagram Type 8 with self-preservation instinct. I won't read through all that, but it's all there for you to look at when you get your own silver level Enneagram map at the links below. And we also have the social instinct. So the social instinct for Enneagram Type 8 is friendship. And it goes into illustrating with all this information here of what it looks like for Enneagram Type 8 with the social instinct. And over here we have the sexual instinct for Enneagram Type 8, which is called possession and surrender. And it goes into what that looks like for Enneagram Type 8 with the sexual instinct. We can quickly move around. Here we have Enneagram Type 1 with their self-preservation instinct of worry, or their social instinct of inadaptability, or their sexual instinct of shared standards and jealousy. And here we have Enneagram Type 2. Their self-preservation is me first. Their social instinct is ambition. And their sexual instinct is aggression and seduction. So zooming out there, as you can see, all 9 types have their own information related to their own 3 instinctual subtypes related to their primary Enneagram type. Okay, now we're moving on to the next section, which is called the Enneagram arrows, which is just over here. So as you can see, this Enneagram symbol here now has arrows pointing from Enneagram Type 8. One arrow is pointing to Enneagram Type 2, and the second arrow is pointing to Enneagram Type 5. These Enneagram arrows describe a series of lines and movements. These lines indicate the influences and interactions between Enneagram styles, patterns of energy, movement, or flow. While our core Enneagram type remains as the primary base of our personality, we also move along these connecting lines. Observing these characteristics offers a significant shift in perspective or point of view, which assists us further in enlightening ourselves with further knowledge of how our reactions and attitudes influence our life. Understanding this allows us to create new ways to respond to the world around us. These arrow movements therefore offer rich potential for exploration and development, as they offer balance and fresh resources to our primary Enneagram type or Ennea style. Personality fixations are a resistance or a contraction against the wise and supportive movements offered by life. That invites us to follow the flow of energy from one point to another to expand and grow, using the arrow movements on the diagram as a guide. So I've just clicked through, and now all the arrows that connect up all the primary Enneagram types are seen on the map. Throughout this arrow movement section, we study each primary Enneagram type's arrows that connect to 2 other Enneagram types. These 2 connecting Enneagram types that connect to the primary Ennea type often reflect different qualities of behavior depending if we are stressed and in resistance to life, or if we are in joy and relaxed with life circumstances. So now I'll just click on Enneagram Type 8's information on the arrow movements. So in this brief example, we see the primary Enneagram style 8 and the 2 arrow movements. Just over here on the right hand side, you see the 2 arrow movements to style 2 and to style 5. If the primary Enneagram style 8 is feeling stressed or in resistance to life due to a variety of problematic circumstances, such as a relationship breakup, a heavy workload, past childhood trauma being triggered, etc., the Enneagram Type 8's fixated ego will most likely unconsciously draw upon the negative attributes of Enneagram Style 5 or Enneagram Style 2, or even draw upon a combination of the two in an effort to combat or resolve the problem. Or, if Enneagram Type 8 is in joy or relaxed with life circumstances, then they will draw upon the positive attributes of Enneagram Type 5 and Enneagram Type 2. Enneagram Type 8 and E-Style 8 in stress, chaos, resistance will display these negative attributes. So negative Enneagram 5 attributes and negative Type 2 attributes. Now moving over, when Enneagram Type 8 is in joy, acceptance and relaxation, they will draw upon the positive attributes of 5. And when Enneagram Type 8 draws upon the positive 2 attributes, Style 8s in positive 2 arrow movements have a charitable quality and are sincere and genuine, and therefore the purpose is innocent. And just a note for the bottom part, it's important to remember that when repeatedly getting stuck in negative attributes of any of the Enneagram styles, whether it be our primary core Enneagram type negative attributes or the arrow styles negative attributes, this is a red flag call. This means we need to make focused efforts to implement healthy choices and to implement positive, stress-relieving remedies, or try something from the positive attributes of the arrow movements. Okay, so now I'm just going to zoom out from that. And with the arrow movements, you can click on any of the Enneagram types to find out what their arrows mean. For instance, I will go to Enneagram Type 4. Okay, so Enneagram Style 4 and arrow movements are to Style 1 and Style 2, like it says here. So there's Type 4, primary number, and the arrows point to Type 1 and Type 2. And here we can see the negative attributes from Type 2 and the negative attributes of Type 1 relating to the arrow movements from 4, and the positive attributes of Type 2 arrows and Type 1 arrows for Enneagram Style 4. Okay, moving on, we have one more section to have a look at, and that will sum up the totality of the silver level Enneagram Map presentation. Okay, moving over to Tri-Type now. This is the last section on the silver level Enneagram Map. Tri-Type is trademarked by Enneagram Explorations, Catherine Foover and David Foover. It is sometimes confused with the Trifix concept of Oscar Ichozo, because it was originally called Trifix by the Foovers, until it was discovered that the Foovers' application of Trifix concept was something different than Ichozo's. This Tri-Type section is just for your personal interest, should you wish to pursue it sometime. And according to Catherine Foover, individuals use their main Enneagram type along with 2 other types in a consistent, cascading and repetitive manner to produce a kind of ego intersection among all 3 types. Therefore, each type within the tritype is employed separately. The combination of all 3 types coming together gives each tritype a unique defense strategy or way of defending against reality and a focus of attention. The tritype is used to explain the distinctive ways in which each individual manages life using various combinations of ego strategies and coping mechanisms. So although one of these 3 tritypes is dominant or your primary type, the other 2 types play a large role in your life. So if you're Enneagram type 6, you could have your tritype as an 8, because there's a line there going to 8. Or you could have a 6 going to 4. Or you could have a 6 going to 3. So you could have 8, 6 and 3 as your tritype. You could have 6, 9 and 3. You could have 6, 1 and 2. Okay, to find out more information on tritypes in this silver level Enneagram map, you can always go down to the video and watch the video with Catherine Foover, which goes through the deeper details and examples of tritype. And you can also follow up with the information that's up the top here. Which gives you a lot of information on how tritypes work, tritype examples, understanding the tritype in practice, etc. So now I'm just zooming out to home screen again. This is the ending summary. So we come to the end of revealing all the different attributes on the silver level Enneagram map. And this is just a quick summary at the end here. So this silver level Enneagram map is highly informative and highly detailed with information, videos and illustrations. And all the information is just a click away to zoom in and click at your fingertips. So for instance, if you just wanted to focus on the wings, you could simply just click on and zoom in to your chosen Enneagram type and its wings. So here we have type 1 with the 9 wing. And zooming back out, you can scroll out using the scroll button on your mouse. You can go over to the Triads and find out the information related to the Triads. This is the centers of intelligence here. We can move down to the Hornbeam types. We can move down further to the harmonic groups. We can zoom out back out to home screen and go over to the arrow movements very quickly. We can use this navigation bar down the bottom here. This is the navigation bar, and as you slide it up and down, it takes you to different frames in the Enneagram map. So for instance, I could slide it up just to there, and it would go to Enneagram type 6 with a 7 wing. Or I could go forward a little bit more, and it would go to the harmonics groups. Or zoom over a little bit more. That goes to the keys of the kingdom with the Hornbeam groups. So as you can see, there's many different methods to click through this silver level Enneagram map. Now I'm moving back out to home screen and just clicking these toggle buttons down the bottom here. These toggle buttons go through frame by frame in sequential order like this. So right now we're looking at the 27 instinctual styles and just clicking through frame by frame how it goes through each section frame by frame with these toggle buttons here. Now zooming back out to home screen, So with this silver level Enneagram map, we have looked further into the functions and patterns of the Enneagram. And this sacred Enneagram is a sacred geometrical tool which unites the mind and the heart, spirit and matter, science and spirituality. Because everything in nature is made up of patterns, structures and designs, from the smallest atom to the infinite universe. So in this silver level, we have gone through the 5 most common additional patterns and attributes in the Enneagram, which were the triads, the arrows, the wings, tri-type and instincts. Plenty of information here to help you investigate all the different attributes of the Enneagram in an easily navigational, functional manner. You can download these maps by clicking on the links below this video. And good luck with your Enneagram explorations.